All right, so now I'm going to take a little bit of time. I don't know if this is still in the same video or not, but I'm going to take some time to compare Persona 4 to Persona 5. Let me think here. How do I want to do this? I guess I should compare, like, the Phantom Thieves to the investigation group in general. A lot of people were telling me that they really love the investigation group more than the Phantom Thieves, and I can understand that. I can understand liking one more than the other. I honestly really like them both about the same, to be honest with you. I think they're both great. I do see where some people, like, and I remember someone mentioning this earlier in the playthrough, saying that they feel like the Persona 4 group is more of, like, a friendship thing, and the Persona 5 group is more of, like, a camaraderie thing, where they're just all working to the same goal. That is, I do feel that's right to an extent. The Phantom Thieves are definitely a lot more of, like, you know, comrades in arms, I feel like, instead of, like, BFFs for life. But I do feel like the Persona 5 team is just as, like, you know, pardon my analogy here, but they're just as thick as thieves as the investigation team is. They're all just as good friends. I just feel like the Persona 5 characters, the characters themselves, don't lend themselves as much to being, like, a funny, like, hey, let's joke around and go hang around at the nearest convenience store and eat food together kind of thing, you know? I just don't think they're not that kind of friends, but just not that kind of people. I can't really see, like, Yusuke and Joker and Haru and Makoto acting like a lot of the investigation team characters do. So I feel like they have the same amount of friendship, but I feel like most people who play Persona-style games would be more akin to have friends like how the Persona 4 cast acts, instead of having friends how the Persona 5 cast acts. So I feel like they're the same amount of friendship and all, but it's mostly just the fact that the Persona 5 group is a different group of people. They're different people, so they act differently with their friends. But, I think they're both great, overall. I did want to rank all of the girls, like the Persona 5 and Persona 4 girls. So, definitely my #1 Persona girl is still Hifumi. She's #1 for sure. And I'm gonna be honest, I've been thinking about it a lot. For a while, I thought Rise was my #2 choice after all, but I think I like An from Persona 5 more than I do Rise. I think it goes Hifumi #1, then An #2, then Rise is #3, and then Haru is #4 from Persona 5, and then 5th place is Yukiko from Persona 4. Rise lost some points with me, mostly at the hot spring scene, when she was just like, oh, we were in the wrong, but let's just keep it quiet and tell them that they were wrong anyways. She had a lot of small moments like that where she, like, acted a little bit like a dick, and I was like, yo, Rise, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. Why would you do that? So, that brought Rise down for me a little bit, to where I think I like An more than I do Rise. So, pretty much, like, #1, Hifumi, then An, Rise, then Haru, and then Yukiko. 6th place is probably Marie. I think Marie is probably 6th. Yeah, I'll put Marie at 6th place. That sounds good. And then all of the others are so low down the tier list that I'm not even going to bother going through them. But those are like my top 6 Persona girls between 4 and 5. And we'll see if that changes anymore when I get to 3. But yeah. Anything else? I actually wanted to go through and compare every confidant that, like, had their matching signs and say which one I liked more. So, let me think here. Let's do... I'm going to just try and go through all of the Arcanas. There's 2 characters that I really want to compare to one another, because I think that I'm going to have a hot take that most of chat won't agree with, but we'll get to that in a minute. That'll be the last one I do. But, what is the Magician Arcana is Morgana and Yosuke. Easily Yosuke. Yosuke is fantastic. He is one of my favorite characters of all time. He's probably it's really hard to pick between him and Kanji, but he might be, like, my favorite character in the Persona series, period. I really, really, really like Yosuke a lot. What's the next one? I'll go ahead and do the next hardest one. Yusuke and Kanji are both the Emperor Confidant. It is so insanely difficult to pick between them because I really like Yusuke a lot, but Kanji, like I said, is one of my favorites. So Kanji wins out on the Emperor Confidant fight there. I want to go through all of the main team first if I can, if all of their confidants match, but some of them don't. Naoto is Fortune, and Chihaya, whatever her name was, is Fortune in Persona 5. Obviously, I like Naoto more than I like Chihaya, even though I do kind of like Chihaya a good deal. I liked her storyline, but Naoto is clearly better. Yukiko is Priestess, right? Yukiko is Priestess. What's the Priestess of Persona 5? Isn't it Haru? I like Haru more than Yukiko, just barely. I really, I like Yukiko and Haru's storylines, but I think I like Haru's a little bit more. With her being, like, the heir to Okamura and trying to, like, do what she can for the company and being pressured to be engaged. But I didn't like it. Oh, Makoto is Priestess, Yukiko. Okay. Haru is Empress. Okay. Well, I definitely like Haru more than Margaret. So, Haru still wins the Empress fight. Because Margaret is, like, she doesn't really have much storyline to her at all because she's the Velvet Room attendant. But I do really, really like Haru. And honestly, I like Yukiko more than I like Makoto, and I know that a lot of people won't agree with me on that, but I didn't like Makoto as much as a lot of other people did, but I definitely like Yukiko more than Makoto, so Yukiko wins the Priestess fight. What is, the two chariots is Ryuji and Chie. As we all know, I do like Chie. I don't dislike her, but she's like my least favorite of the investigation team. So I definitely like Ryuji a lot more than I do Chie, because I really, really liked Ryuji a lot. So Ryuji is the winner of the chariot. I think that adds out pretty evenly for about the amount of people I like from investigation and people I like from Phantom Thieves. What else is there? Strength. Obviously, Ko and Daisuke are better than the twins from the Velvet Room in Persona 5. That's an easy pick. The Velvet Room characters don't get a whole lot of development, and I don't like them all that. I mean, I don't dislike them, but I don't super like them either. So Ko and Daisuke are definitely better strength. Obviously, my man, Bro Shida, is better than Yumi. Yumi also has a pretty good social link. It's very, like, it hits you in the feels a lot with her father passing away and all. And it's a good social link, but no one can beat my man, Bro Shida. I absolutely love Bro Shida's social link. That was my first blood oath of all time. But, oh yeah, the lovers one, I like On more than Rize, because Rize is a bit of a dick sometimes. But, also Rize can be a bit of a crybaby, which sometimes I find adorable, and sometimes I can find a little annoying. But, I like On more than I like Rize, so On wins that one. I definitely, in terms of Velvet Room attendance, I definitely like Margaret more than I like the twins. The twins can also be a little annoying at times, but Margaret was, cool and mysterious the whole time. Also, she's more attractive, so you know there's that. But I do like Margaret more than I like Lavenza or the twins, whatever you want to call them. What other confidants are there? Obviously, Awai is better than the Hangman confidant of Persona 4 that I never even did. It doesn't matter what the Hanged Man confidant in Persona 4 is. Eventually, I'll find it myself when I do my NG+, but it's not better than Awai. Awai is far better, for certain. Sayako is Devil, I believe. She's definitely better than Oya, because Oya is my least favorite confidant in Persona 5, so Sayako beats out Oya for sure. And then Death, obviously Takemi beats Hisano, because Hisano might be my least favorite confidant, period. Like, at all. I really do not like, Hisano a bit. And Takemi's pretty cool. I like Takemi. The Hermit one is Futaba and the Fox. The Fox is cool. I really like the Fox. But again, the Fox is an animal, so it doesn't really have character development, and Futaba does. So I like Futaba more than the Fox, because Futaba is like an actual character with some level of development. So I like Futaba more than the Fox, but the Fox is great. The Fox is the best animal character to ever exist in Persona. It's better than Teddie and Morgana, don't at me. The Hierophant, Dojima is cool. Let me make this clear with you. I do like Dojima. I think that Dojima has some serious, like, flaws that he never really builds upon, like the fact that he basically ignores his daughter, which I really, like, resent him for a little bit, but Dojima is still cool overall. But, you know, I obviously love Coffee Daddy more because I absolutely love Sojiro Sakura. Not only because he's a little bit of a meme in my chat overall with the whole Coffee Daddy thing, but he's a meme because he's great. I love Sojiro's building as a character and his relationship with Futaba in Persona 5. I love it a lot. So, you know. What else was it? What else was there? Dang it. Who's left? Justice. All right, listen. Nanako is great. She's probably the best, like, small child character in any video game ever. But Akechi, like, really, really grew on me at the end of Persona 5. And I cannot wait to see them do more with Akechi in the Royal, and I hope he gets a better redemption than what he did. But, you know, I just like Akechi's archetype more than I like Nanako's archetype of being a small child. So, even though they're both really, really good, I like Akechi more than I like Nanako. So, Nanako unfortunately loses the Justice fight. So, I like Akechi more. Temperance, I didn't care for Eri at all. I didn't finish her Confidant, obviously, but I got to rank 6, so I feel like I know it pretty well. I definitely prefer Kawakami from... I'm pretty sure Kawakami was Temperance. I like her a lot more from Persona 5. I like Kawakami's whole storyline of, like, having tried to help that one kid, and then he ended up, like... did he commit suicide, or did he just get hit by a bus? I don't remember what happened. But that kid dying and her feeling responsible and all, I really liked Kawakami's stuff, and I didn't really care for Eri that much at all. Judgment, I don't really think can be compared because Judgment is also still like the investigation team somehow, and then Sai is Judgment in the other game, so I'm not even going to try and do any kind of comparison there. Moon. Who is Moon in this game? I is Moon. Honestly, I think I and Mishima, they like tie. I honestly think they're just a tie. Because they both have things that I like about them, especially because I started to grow on me at the back half of her Confidant, and I never got to finish it either. Maybe if I finished it, I would have a definitive yes or no. But Mishima had moments where he was really annoying, and I was just like, Mishima, come on, don't be an idiot. And then other times, Mishima was like, yo, Mishima, you're my boy. You know, stuff like that. So, honestly, I give those two a tie. I like them evenly, pretty much. I already said that I liked Yoshida, aka Broshida, more than I liked Yumi, so I prefer him as the son. To be honest. Like, it's hard to beat Broshida. I love Broshida a lot, and he was my first blood oath, so I love him a good deal. I think that's all of them, right? Because there is no Ion or Jester or Hunger in Persona 5, so I can't really compare Adachi to anyone. I guess I could compare Adachi to Akechi. I like Akechi more as a villain than I like Adachi as a villain. I feel like they really screwed up with Adachi at the end. They mostly screwed up with Adachi, in my opinion, because they didn't make him suspicious enough throughout the game, and there was no one else to try and pull suspicion off of him throughout the game, so that's more of my problem with the plot. And also at the very end, like, I really liked Adachi's whole thing, where it was just like, I let Namatame kidnap people because I was bored, but, I really didn't, I didn't like the whole thing where he had that weird crush on Saki and Yamano, and he threw them in the TV because he was like, oh, they didn't immediately want to have sex with me. That was really dumb, and I hated it, and I think it really, like, it put a major scar on his character for me. It made me, I was really in for Adachi as a character until that moment, and I was like, man, you really, like, trying really hard to make me not like Adachi. Oh, I didn't do Tower and Star. Again, I think I'm going to give another, like... Nah, you know what? I'm going to give it to Shu. I think I like Shu more than I like Shinya. Shinya wasn't bad, but Shu is, like... Shu really got me with his last, like, 2 Confidant ranks. His last... At the very end, I was like, you know what? I like Shu more than Shinya. He's pretty cool. The star is Hifumi, isn't it? I obviously love Hifumi a great deal more than I like Teddie. Because Teddie is the star of this game. I, by far, like Hifumi a far deal more than Teddie. So I think that one goes without saying, because Hifumi is, like, my #1 waifu of the Persona series right now, at least. So definitely, definitely prefer Hifumi over Teddie. So I think I've compared all the characters now. I wanted to compare the storylines for a minute. There is one more character I want to do a comparison of, actually. I do want to say, also, I wanted to compare the, the mascots of Teddie and Morgana. Honestly, I think I'm going to give them a tie as well, just like I did the Moon Confidant. Because, like, the only time I, like, really... Morgana was, like, on and off again, like, okay to bad throughout the game. But Teddie was very on again, off again. There were times where Teddie would open his mouth, and I wished I wasn't playing the game because he made me want to die. And then there were times when Teddie was, like, the funniest man alive. So it's, like, both of them are kind of the same deal of, like, they have ups and downs of me liking and disliking them. Teddie is a lot more extreme in the ups and downs, and Morgana is not as extreme, but they both still have the ups and downs. So I'm going to give Teddie and Morgana a tie again. If you really put a gun to my head, I'd probably pick Morgana just because there are times when Teddie talks and I really just want to stop playing because it makes me wish I was dead. So, you know. Anyways, I wanted to compare the stories. When I started this game, a lot of people told me, like, you're going to love Persona 4 because its story is leagues better than Persona 5. I don't think that's true. And I'm not about to say that Persona 5's is demonstrably better or anything of the sort. I think they're both even. And I love that, honestly, that they made 2 games that are so incredibly good back-to-back. I feel like they both fail in the same spots. Like, Persona 5 storytelling mostly drops a lot during the Morgana-Ryuji feud, and they also drop, feud, I said food. When, like, Morgana and Ryuji have their big fight, that's really dumb. And also, like, the whole thing with Akechi shooting Joker is really awesome, but the storytelling for it is a little weak. It gets a little like, how exactly did that work? But I feel like, I feel like Persona 4 has a bit of the same problem with its whole mystery thing. It gets kind of weak where Adachi is the killer, obviously, at the start. Then it's like Adachi he doesn't act like the killer at all, but then there's no other suspects. So, and I really hate the whole thing with Adachi's reasoning for throwing Yamano and Saki into the TV. So I feel like they both have, like, one or two major moments of, like, the story really suffers for a bit, but then the rest of the story is all, like, really good and done really well. So I would honestly put the two stories on par with one another. I definitely think Persona 5 had the better finish off, like the very ending, because the whole thing with Izanagi is cool and fighting against Izanami, but nothing can beat Sataniel, especially with that music playing in the background. Nothing can beat Sataniel shooting that Omni bullet through Yaldabaoth's face. It's just, like, incomparable. So, you know, I think they're both about the same level of good story, in my opinion. And they're both good. They have their flaws, but they're both really good stories. So, I would put them even. A lot of people told me going into this game that you're going to like the story more. And I think what a lot of people meant to say was, I like comedy more, and Persona 4 is funnier than Persona 5. Which is absolutely fair. Persona 4 is a funnier game. Undoubtedly. There's no debate to be had. But in terms of, like, actual plot and story, I think they're about even. And I like them both a lot for those reasons. I did want to say, Persona 4's music is wonderful and great, and I love it, but I honestly think that I like Persona 5's music more. I like Persona 5's final boss music. I like Rivers in the Desert more. There are some times in Persona 4, like with the fog music, that I'm just like, man, I didn't think I'd play a Persona game and dislike the music, but right now I do. And I don't ever remember a moment like that in Persona 5. I also think Persona 5 has much better dungeon music. The dungeon music in Persona 5 is, a lot better. And then, so yeah, I think just the Persona 4 music is still great, but I think I prefer Persona 5's music a bit more. Also, Persona 5's gameplay is far more polished and far more enjoyable, and the level scaling is a lot better. Mechanically, Persona 5 is a better game, without a doubt, in my mind. But that's good, because that's to be expected. If they made Persona 4, and then 4 years later they come up with another Persona game, I expect the gameplay to be far better. I do wish Persona 5 had something like the Fox, where you could recharge your SP. I think that's the one gameplay thing that Persona 4 does better than Persona 5, is giving you a way to, like, sacrifice money to be able to get back SP. But mechanically speaking, I think Persona 5 is the better game. So, in terms of mechanics, just mechanics alone, which is, you would expect it to be, having come out 4 years later, which is good, so I'm glad it is. It's improved, that's what you want. Which bosses were better? Persona 5. I think Persona 5 bosses were better, because I much prefer fighting, like, actual villains, as opposed to having to fight your inner self as a boss. But the inner selves were still good. They were both still really good. But I think I prefer the bosses. I mostly prefer the ending with Yaldabaoth as opposed to the ending with Izanami. So I think the bosses are better in Persona 5. But also I think that comes a little bit from it being an older game. The whole thing, I also wanted to compare the themes of facing your inner self and rebellion. They're both really, really, really good. I love both things. I think for me personally, as a person, mostly because I don't feel like I would have another self that, like, hide and lied about, and obviously I would say that, but I don't feel that way at all. So, well, I do really like the whole facing yourself thing, and I think it's really well done. I prefer the theme of rebellion with Persona 5. Personally, that's a me personally thing. I think it's totally fair to like Persona 4's more with the facing yourself, and I think it's totally fair to like Persona 5 more with the whole rebellion thing and having to stop these scumbag people and changing their hearts. I really, really like changing someone's heart, like turning them into a good person by defeating their evil self. I really like that theme. So I personally prefer the theming of Persona 5's rebellion as opposed to facing yourself. But I do really, really like both of them. They're both very, very good. So, you know, they both have their positives, and I think that it's fair to like either of them, personally. So there you go. Do you like Heaven or Whims of Fate? I don't know what that means. You're gonna have to be more specific. But I do really like, I like Rebellion a bit more, but facing yourself as a theme is just barely beneath it. I think the main thing for me is, like, it is cool that you fight the evil shadow versions of your friends, but I much prefer having an enemy, like, I like having Kamoshida or Shido or Okamura, like an actual villain to go up against, personally, for me. That's just what I prefer. Whims of Fate is the Psy Palace theme? What's the... Oh, the Heaven theme? Oh, I like Whims of Fate as a dungeon song way more than I like the Heaven song, the Nanako's dungeon, for sure. Without a doubt. I think that the dungeon themes in Persona 5 are just better than Persona 4, personally. So, like, Persona 4's music is still really good. I just think Persona 5 has even better music, which is great. But, who has better Personas overall between 4 and 5? Honestly, probably 4, once they get their final forms. I really... It's been a while since I looked at the Persona 5 ones. I remember not liking Futaba's, and I remember not liking Makoto's, because it's a Transformer. I really liked Yusuke's, his Susanoo, in Persona 5, and I also, Sataniel is way better than Izanagi, for certain. But, I really like Yosuke's, Susanoo Persona. I really like Kanji's Persona. I really like Yukiko's Persona, and I really like Chie's Persona. So if you put all of the Personas together, I think I like Persona 4's more overall of the main cast than I do Persona 5's. But my favorite one is still Sataniel from Persona 5 overall. Someone else mentioned something that I wanted to talk about. What was it? Crud, there was one other thing that I wanted to... There's like 2 or 3 more things I want to talk about, but the 8-bit music was really good. The 8-bit music was probably the best dungeon theme in this game, for sure. But I still like some of the other dungeon themes more from Persona 5. Crud, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about before I talk about the last thing. There's one thing that I want to end on, but I can't remember it. Oh, the shadows. Yeah, I like the shadows a lot more in Persona 5, where you fight the personas that you take, that you negotiate with them. I do like Shuffle Time. Shuffle Time is good, but I prefer negotiations from Persona 5. Shuffle Time, I just don't like having I don't like having more RNG put into the games. And I also like, while it is cool that you can make personas like Genbu all powerful, I think it's better in Persona 5 where it's just like you progressively get better and better ones instead of trying to make one of them really good. Which Persona opening is better? I definitely like Life Will Change the most. Life Will Change is one of my favorite songs, period. So, I don't dislike the card system. I don't dislike Shuffle Time, but I like negotiations more. So yeah, the enemy shadows, I like the way the enemy shadows are personas that you take over a lot more. I am going to play Persona 5 The Royal as soon as it releases, yes, for sure. There is a hot take I have. I'm going to talk about it in a second. I think I've talked about everything. I'm sure there's something I'm forgetting. I always forget something, but I can't remember what it is now. There was one other comparison I wanted to make. What was it? There are 2 more per, Oh, the attributes? The attributes are done way better in Persona 5. I hate light and dark in this game. I hate insta-kill moves, and I hate light and dark are relegated to only being insta-kill. And Persona 5 has more elements in general, like Sayo and Nuclear, which I really like. So, again, I just think mechanically, Persona 5 is a better game, mechanically, overall. I think that might be it. Other than the last thing I'm going to talk about. Anything else I can think of? I don't think so. Could have sworn there was one more thing. Persona 4, I don't like that there are so many daytime confidants and not enough nighttime confidants. I think Persona 5 does a lot better at splitting the day and nighttime confidants. But that's a minor complaint that isn't really a big deal, honestly. I don't really mind that very much. There are no guns in this game other than Naoto having a gun. I would like more guns, please. Please keep guns a thing in future Persona games. I think that's it. Other than the last thing. Yeah, I think that's it. All right. The last thing is I wanted to compare you and Joker. And some people might think, like, how are you going to compare the 2 silent protagonists? So, oh, Little Town versus Big City? I don't really mind. They do fine either way. I live in a little town. I prefer little towns, but I hate big cities. But I think big cities are fine in video game settings, so they're both fine. But the last thing I wanted to compare was you and Joker. I'm not a big fan of silent protagonists. I've always been very vocal about not liking silent protagonists. The only time I like silent protagonists is the Persona series. I think the Persona series has somehow, partly because it's such a long game, they do really well at making you feel like your silent protagonists actually have at least a little bit of character, while still making it feel like it's you that is the character overall. So I think they do, like, this is probably, the Persona series is the only time where I'm fine with silent protagonists. I think they're good. But I think Joker is a much better character than you, because despite them both being silent protagonists, not having a lot of stuff, everyone goes into every time someone talks about you in this game, they're like, oh, you is the best because he's a Chad. First of all, I really don't, this is another comparison, I really don't like how every girl is just, like, obviously in love with you. I like it much more in Persona 5, where the girls are not obviously in love with you, but then you end up being together, and once you're like, hey, date me, they're like, oh, you know what, yeah, I can see us having a relationship, I do like you, so let's do it. So I really enjoy that. I don't like how in Persona 4 you just have to break everyone's heart. I really don't like it. But, I like Joker a lot more because you can say that Yu Narukami is a Chad all you want, and like, oh, all the chicks dig him. But I'm gonna tell you what makes you a real man, what makes you the coolest guy of all, what sets Joker above so far for me that Joker is such a better character than Yu Narukami. Yu Narukami is just like his only major defining trait is that he is a Chad. Is that he's like a lot of girls like him. What is Joker's most defining trait? He risked his bodily safety to stop a woman from being raped at the very start of the game. So, like, Joker is leagues, like, by far the coolest dude of all time for me. Because you get to know exactly who Joker is at the very start. Joker is a cool guy who is willing to respect women and help people in need because he literally, like, saw a woman being assaulted by a man and thought, like, yeah, I'm gonna go punch this guy, and maybe this guy will beat me up or have a gun and shoot me or something, but I'm gonna try and protect this woman. And as soon as Joker did that, I was like, yo, Joker is real. He is a real man. And Yu Narukami, the Persona 4 protagonist, he never does anything like that. He never has that one great moment where it's just like, oh, this is how you know he's a step above the average person. He's much better than the average guy. But Joker shows you right from the start of his game that he is just, like, a good Samaritan. He is just a really good, like, he's a good person. And I love it. So, I think that Joker is a better character, despite them both being silent protagonists. I think Joker is a better character than Persona 4's Yu Narukami, personally. But I think that's all of the comparisons I wanted to make. I don't know how long this video was, but, you know, it be that way. Yeah. I think we're done. I think that's everything. I think it's finally over. Overall, I like Persona 5 more than Persona 4, but only by a small amount. They're both fantastic games, and I would rate them nearly evenly. Like, I'm pretty sure after I play the Royal, Persona 5, the Royal, for me, is going to be like a 9 out of 10 game, and then this game is going to be an 8.5 out of 10, mostly because of the main factor being the gameplay mechanics. But man, Yosuke and Kanji are my favorite confidants, for sure. So, you know, Persona 4's got it there, I guess. But yeah, they're both really, really good games. And I think I'm done now, because I have to go do classwork, and it is getting really hot in my room. I think I have to go turn on the air conditioner. But, yeah, I will definitely watch the Persona 4 and Persona 5 anime now, for sure. Peartree92, thank you for following at the very end of the playthrough. Much appreciated. Which credit theme do you like best? I honestly don't remember the credits of Persona 5, so I can't answer that. But the credits of this were really, really good. I think I like the ending of Persona 5 more, where it's the entire Phantom Thieves driving off in the car together, as opposed to Persona 4, where in original Persona 4, it was them saying goodbye to him on the train, which is also really good in a tearjerker, but I really like the Joker getting out of the sunroof at the very end of Persona 5 a lot. But they're both fantastic and very sad. But yeah, I think that's it. So, yeah, I'm done. I think that's all the comparison I want to do between Persona 4 and Persona 5. If there's something else I didn't compare that you want to know on when you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment in the YouTube section, and I will probably answer it for you there. But, yeah, for those of you watching on YouTube, thank you all so much for supporting me through this entire series. I loved it a good deal. It was a little rocky at first with the level scaling shenanigans, but by the end of it, as I expected, Persona 4 is one of my favorite games. And Persona has become one of my favorite series after only just playing 2 of their games. So that hasn't happened since I played the Tales of series, because I played, like, Tales of Graces and Tales of Xillia, and that made it one of my favorite series. Probably, actually, that made the Tales of series my favorite series, but Persona is very, very up there, like, with Kingdom Hearts and Tales of is my favorite series now of games. So, yeah. If you'd like to catch me doing more Persona stuff and other playthroughs in general, JRPGs especially, there's a link to my Twitch channel in the description. I'd love to see you on Twitch, or you can keep supporting me on YouTube. I appreciate it either way, and it means so much to me. Thank you all so much for making this great playthrough of this wonderful game even better by experiencing it alongside me. And I will hopefully see you in future playthroughs, Persona or otherwise. So until then, farewell.